Welcome back, YouTube. Today we're going to be creating a solar charger that we're going to be placing in our backyard, and I want to use it to charge and power up a robot lawnmower for hopefully many years to come. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. So just before we start, I want to have a disclaimer and say that I've never done this before. It's our first time, so it is a learning process for us. It's an experiment. Or it would be if this was my first time doing it. I actually had footage of me purchasing these things off Amazon, and I had a little bit of footage of me building it right here in this very room, but I lost it. I don't know what happened to it. And so this is us going back and talking about the things that we bought. I'm basically rephrasing what I said back in that footage. And then we'll go out in the backyard and I'll show you the finished product because I've already built it. I know that it works. So now I do have the experience of already building it. And we're just going to talk about the things that we bought, why we, our thought process when we were building it or buying it. And then we'll go out and I'll show you how I built it, but I won't be able to show you footage of me building it because I lost the footage. Okay, so for the solar panel, I've got here Amazon. By the way, I'm going to have affiliate links to everything that I show in the description below, and we're going to try and keep it as cheap as possible. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about things that I learned and things that I would do differently if I could go back in time or if I were to do it again. And things, if you want to do this yourself, if you want to do this project, you can do it a little bit differently with the things that I learned. So stay tuned until the very end when I talk about those things. So we're going to go for a 100-watt solar panel, and we're going to 12 volts. So this is the one that I found on Amazon. It's 150 Australian. If you're American, that's going to be, I don't know what that would be, like $85 to $90. This is not the cheapest you can get it. If you're in Australia, you can get it from Bunnings, 100 watts, for $99, so that you would save $50. The other thing you could do would be this. I found this one off Amazon. It's $58, but it only got 1-star review. So I might avoid this one. You might want to look around. At the end of the video, we're going to talk about used solar panels and the potential benefits, obviously, to your wallets. Okay, after you've got your solar panel, again, try to go for 100 watts or higher. You want a solar charge controller. So this is where you'll hook up your solar panels, and it'll charge a battery. So I've gone for this one, mainly because, again, I was new. It was my first time doing it. And this one already comes wired up. As you can see here, it's got the connectors to go into a solar panel. If you choose different ones, because this is just a cheap one, just a cheap crappy one. I don't know if you want to go more expensive. I wouldn't, because we're trying to keep it cheap. But if you do go for one that's even cheaper than this, that doesn't have any connections already attached, and you want to attach it yourself, just make sure that you're first plugging it into the solar charge controller. Instead of first charging it into the solar panels and having hot wires, it's only 12 volts, so you're not going to hurt yourself, but you could short circuit something. So just be careful when you're dealing with that. First, plug it into the solar charge controller, and then you've got this insulated, as you can see here, these insulated bits at the end, and you can just plug them in nice and easy. The other bit here goes to the battery, and I'm going to remove those clamps. I'm just going to cut them off. And I'm going to attach some lugs and we'll hook it up to a battery without those clamps. This, if you already have some lugs, you don't need to buy this. I bought this because it has a bunch of different sizes. I'll see if there's any cheaper options before I link them. And it's also got heat shrink, so you can insulate the connectors as well. So I got this, and like I said, I cut off those clamps and I attached one of these lugs to it, and then I crimped it. I didn't have a proper crimping tool, so I did use pliers. I know everybody that's a professional says never use a plier, but we're just trying to keep it on the cheap. And I tugged on it really tight, and it was fine. It was very attached. It was almost welded onto it, so I didn't think it was a problem. But if you guys want to buy yourself, or maybe you already have a crimping tool, you can use that. By the way, I'm just showing this. I didn't use this. This is called a spade connectors, and I'm showing you this because the battery that we're using has spade connectors. We went around that with a little bit of a janky method, but if you want to keep it all legit, you might want to connect to your battery with one of these instead. Again, I did not go for these, and I'm not going to link these. I just wanted to show them. So I'm not going to link that. This is the battery that we went for, and I'll be honest, this is one of the things that I learned could have been done better. I'm going to talk about this more at the end of the video, but this is lead acid battery, which you can only use half of it, up to 50% of it. And so that creates problems because then you need a device which senses when your battery's at half and then cuts off the power, which just creates more work. And also, these have a short battery life. I'm going to link this, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you, because on Amazon, I couldn't find any lithium ion batteries that were under like $200, regardless of how small the capacity was. But I found some on AliExpress directly out of China. I know, but, and it's around $50 for like 20 amp hours for lithium ion. But I'll talk about, and I'll show a link to a lithium ion battery at the end of it, because we could have saved ourselves a lot of effort. And lastly, not lastly, but another thing is this. This is something that if we had gone with a lithium battery, we wouldn't have to worry about this. This is called a battery over discharge protection, or some people call it low voltage cutoff, low voltage switch. What this is you connect your, here's a picture of it. You connect your battery to one side of it, to the left side, and then your load, your inverter or your lights or whatever you want to power, on the right side, and it's just a little relay that connects the power from the battery to your load. And you can tell it when the battery is at this many volts with a 12-volt battery at 50%. Google says 12.2 volts is the halfway mark. So when it senses that the battery is on 12.2 volts, cuts it off, and that way you don't kill your battery, which is annoying. If you go for a lithium battery, you wouldn't even have to worry about this, but we'll talk about that more in the future. And the next item is the inverter. We want a way to plug in, right? Like the way you plug something into a wall socket. So this here, you can see here, has the wall socket. Now this is a wall socket that you would expect in Australia. I'm sure Americans would have a little bit of a different connector. But it has here the ability for you to connect your batteries to it, and then on the other end for you to plug that in. So this is the inverter we went with. This is another thing that I kind of learned after I did a little bit more research. We'll talk about that in the future, but it's $50 Australian. And this is the last item. Because we're going to be putting all of these things outside, we don't want the rain getting to it. You know, the last thing we want is to put all this effort and money into it and then having it get wet and destroyed. So I got myself a little junction box. It's got little rubber all around, so it doesn't let moisture in. And it's got this little board at the back which you can separate and you can drill holes into so you can mount all of your things. And so I use that, and it works really well. It even has a little key latch at the front. So I had some footage of me building it all together, but I lost that. So I'm gonna get my phone. I'll go outside and I'll show you what I put together. And then at the end, here you can see the mower running. Been fully charged by the solar. We haven't plugged it into the wall, not once. I put the solar panel up here. This is a little shed that's been at the back of my backyard for ages, never really been used, and I thought it would be the perfect place to just put a little solar charger. I had to put a rubber thing here because the soil here is very soft, and so the wheels would just spin and get stuck. So I put some stuff here on the floor so it wouldn't get stuck. Anyways, here is the little junction box that you saw us buy on Amazon. So we unlock the little latch. It comes up, opens to the side, and that's what keeps our devices dry in the rain. So you can see the solar panels come here. This is the plug for it. And then I've got them connected to the solar charger through these two connectors. And those cables just run right to the bottom of the junction box. And I drilled in some holes over here. You can see that? They go up, you can see the cables go through to the side, and they go into the solar charge controller. And then from the solar charge controller, that charges, you can see the cables come to the battery. Now this is that lithium, this is the lead acid battery. I wish I had gotten a lithium one. I'm going to talk about that later when we go to the room. We'll go back. But I was talking to you guys about how this battery only has spade connectors, and I janked up some other connectors. See that? I used some lugs, and I just, with a plier, I clamped them together, and I created a really tight, you can see these aren't going anywhere. These are super tight. So instead of using spade connectors, I just used lugs, and I connected them to there. And then that way I could have all of my wires bolted on with nuts, and it's really tightly on. I drilled some holes in the back, and I have this secured with some zip ties here. And at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see it, I have a bolt right here. So that bolt is what supports the weights of the battery, and then this keeps it in place, and that's pretty snug. And then from the battery, we have the cables going into that low voltage cutoff that I mentioned. This, you wouldn't even need to fiddle around with this. This was really annoying to fiddle around. How to program this was really annoying. If you go lithium, you don't have to worry about that. I'll show you a link to a good lithium battery that's cheap, and it's even got more capacity than this one, but it's directly from AliExpress, which is a bit, you never know. So anyways, you plug in the battery here. You just have basically the exposed wires into a little hole, and then you tighten them up, and this creates a little relay for the energy to go through. And then as long as the battery isn't halfway, or whatever settings you set on this, it'll send power through. You can see the lights on indicating that it's on. It'll relay the electricity to our little inverter. And those are some lugs that you can see that I created. I clamped them on just with pliers. I didn't have a crimper, and I put the heat shrink that came with, and this just gets tightened on. This is just a string. I should probably get something a little bit tighter. And again, that is being held on. You can't really see it, but it's being held on by the same kind of bolt. And this is the plug that I'm using. I'm using an extension cord because I didn't think the lawnmower was going to have a long enough cord, but I was wrong. I didn't even need to get an extension cord. And that's just a little switch to plug it on and off. At the top, you can see it's got a little fan. Not that it has much airflow when it's closed off. But there you go, that's the little thing. The wires are a little bit too long. I didn't know how much wire I was going to need. It was my first time ever doing it, and I left probably a bit too much wire. But I thought it's better off it being loose than tight in case anything gets pushed when the current goes through the wires. So I just left the wires a little bit loose. Okay, so that is basically what we built. The door closes, latches down. You can lock it in place. It stays weather tight. We can add, if we want, more solar panels on the roof. And then it literally just charges this. The mower's out, but as proof of the pudding, you can see the green light there. It's definitely receiving power. So I'm going to go back to the room, and I'm going to talk a little bit about things that I would have done differently. The biggest difference is obviously going to be a lithium battery instead, and a different inverter. And I'm going to talk about that and show you guys links to different things. And they're still very cheap, very affordable, but much better options. I'm going to show you that in a bit. Just stay tuned. I lost the footage. So anyways, welcome back. We're now back in the computer. I want to talk about the things that I wish I had known when I had started, or things I would do differently. The first thing we're going to talk about is the battery. The biggest thing about the battery is lead acid batteries have a small life cycle. It's got a small life cycle compared to lithium, and also you can only discharge them up to 50%. So here you can see the Google chart for a 12 volt lead acid battery. you can only discharge up to 12%, and so you need to use that low voltage cutoff that I showed you. I've got a picture of the build, this little device, and you have to set it to 50%. 50%, they say, is 12.2 volts. So you've got to tell this little device, you've got to fiddle around with it, 12.2 volts, cut it off, and don't use it, otherwise you destroy the battery. And even then, when you're going through all that effort, it only has 500 cycles to 1,000, which is like 1 or 2 years. It's not just that you have to plug it in and do the settings that's really annoying. The other annoying thing is you buy them and they don't come with any instructions. They just come in a little baggie and it's like, here you go, good luck, figure it out yourself. And you Google it, I YouTubed it to look for instructions, right? How to set it up. And one of the most popular videos is this one. This is the very first thing that comes up, and look at it. It looks exactly the same as ours, doesn't it? You look at that and you look at this, you're like, oh, that's the same one. Let's watch this video. It'll teach us how to do it. In that video, the way they set it is they double click to change the setting of the low voltage cutoff, or the differential between when it hits low voltage cutoff and when it allows it to turn back on. But that's not how I had to set this one. This one, I literally just long pressed it from where it is, and that was how I did my setting. I didn't double tap like his did. I had to long press. Or if I clicked on the right trigger, I clicked on that, changed it to held that button, long pressed the right trigger, and then I could set the differential between when it cuts off and then how much it has to grow before it switches it back on. So it was fiddly to plug it, to install it. It was fiddly for me to learn how to use it, and it was just annoying all around. So if you can avoid using this and get a battery that will last you way longer, is just an absolute benefit. So with the benefits of lithium ion, I wish I knew that. I have a couple of links. They're not Amazon links. These are AliExpress direct out of China. So this one here is reduced from it says 135. I don't know how true that is, but you can see here 12 volts, 20 amp hour lithium ion battery, iron phosphate, for $60. $60, shipping costs $30, so you're paying around $92, $93. It seems like it's pretty small. I think I saw down here that the weight is only 2 kilos, which is roughly the same as the other one. And it's got on there, the terminals are little screws. So even better. This one here would literally be ideal. If I had known about this, I would have bought this instead of the other battery. I will provide a link to this in the description. Some other options that I found on AliExpress are this one, $73 with $30 of shipping, so it's $100, but it's smaller, it's 12 amp hours. You might have to check what the reviews are. You never know with these websites. I take no liability about these websites. It's just what I could find. I mean, it is, a lot of people use AliExpress, so hopefully they do come, and hopefully they're in good condition, and hopefully they work. But you never know with these websites. But there you go. This is another option. I'm not going to... Maybe I will link that one. And here's another one, even more expensive, but free shipping. So the other one was cheaper, but with $30 of shipping, you're ending up at $100. This one here has free shipping, 12 amp hours. Again, it's 12 volts, 12 amp hours, about $80. So those are a few options for lithium ion, and I do think lithium ion would be a way better option because you don't even have to buy the low voltage cutoff. So if you imagine it costs a little bit more, the other battery we're looking at, which the lead acid battery, was $39, basically $40 Australian. None of these prices I'm looking at are American. You can probably cut them in half if you're in America. So the $20 that you save from the low voltage cutoff, you can use that for your battery. It's probably not going to cover all of it, but you know, there's that. The last thing that I kind of regret not doing was getting a pure sine wave inverter. I was brand new. I didn't know anything about anything. I just looked it up. I tried doing a bit of research, and I tried seeing what I needed to buy before I bought it, and then I bought a group of things. The inverter that we had bought wasn't pure sine wave, it was modified sine wave. And if you're like me and you had no idea what that was, it's just the wave in which the electrical currents run. In modified, it's a very choppy wave, and it's not really healthy for your appliances to power them with that kind of a wave. Whereas pure sine wave, it mimics what the grid gives you, that nice flowy wave of current. In fact, pure sine wave is supposedly even a cleaner wave than what even the grid gives you. So this is much more healthier for the appliances. The inverter that we had bought was $50. This one is $79. So again, it's $30 more expensive. But I think for a better product, it also comes with a few wires. If it protects your appliance, because the mower costs $1,000 or more. I will have a link to the Works in mower on the link below. So you definitely want to protect your appliances with a pure sine wave inverter instead of the modified inverter. I'm going to have both links down below. I'm going to have both batteries, lead acid battery and this lithium ion battery, links down below. Because I think if you are purely on a budget and you just want to keep the build exactly as we made it, as I've shown you when we went to the backyard, it works. It's been working for the last week. It does the trick. Now, will this protect the life of our appliance for a long time? I can't tell you yet. And will this last for a long time, this battery? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But yeah, this little low voltage cutoff was really annoying, and you can avoid doing this, and you can get a really good battery that will last you for 10 years if you go with lithium ion. But that's not to say that you have to. If you want to build it exactly the way we built it and mimic exactly what we have, here's a picture. You can copy it exactly as it is, and I can tell you it works. It definitely works. Now, as a full review for the robot lawnmower, that'll probably come in a few months. I'm going to wait and see how it works, how it takes care of the lawn, how the scheduling works, all of those things. And then I'll come out with a video of the Works lawnmower. I'll have it linked down below, but do your own research if you want to buy one right now. I really wanted the Ozito one, which wouldn't need a boundary wire, but it is what it is. The Works one looks pretty good. It seems to be working pretty good. So time will tell. Anyways, sorry if I rambled on. I just wanted you guys to know what I wish I had known before I started. And I think lithium-ion battery having such a long life cycle, and the fact that you can use all of it, not only half of it, because this has 12 amp hours, but really it's only 6 because you can only use half of it. Not having to do any of this, that's such a lifesaver. And then having an inverter that will protect your appliances, that's also a lifesaver. Another thing that might be important to do, and I will have a link to it, is an inline fuse. I'm thinking of getting one, and I'll get one later in the future. Getting an inline fuse, and instead of using random wires to connect from your battery to your inverter, or if you have a lithium directly, you use one of these with a fuse inside. And if your battery is rated for 20 amps, maybe going 35 or 40 amp fuse. If it's rated less, then go less. You can kind of look. This goes up to 30 amps, so probably like a 30 amp fuse or a 40 amp fuse, inline fuse. So something like this might be worth getting. I'll find a nice one and I'll add it to the links below. But an inline fuse is always something important. Anyways, that's it for now. Sorry for rambling. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I wish I could have shown you the actual build, me connecting the wires, but I lost that footage. Anyways, stay tuned for a review of that robot lawnmower. That'll come in a few months when I get some time. Other than that, I'm just going to try and get some footage of Monster Hunter gameplay. I am a gaming channel. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helps a lot of you. If you guys were thinking about making your own little solar charge station, I hope this has helped, and I hope it gives you a little bit more confidence of going out so that you can build your own project and do it within a budget. Because I think in total, I'll try and calculate it and put it on the screen. I think it was around $250 Australian. I think that's like 150 or 200 American. For a solar charger that will charge that or robot lawnmower for years and years and years, as long as the battery stays, like if I had a lithium battery, probably for another 10 years, and I would never have to pay for electricity for that robot mower again. It just runs on its own, which is amazing. So, hope it helps. Peace out. I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers.